just got out of the movie, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, private screening, November 7th. Lots to digest. It's 2 hours and 41 minutes. And I'm not going to get into spoilers right now. I'm just going to kind of do a brief overview of the movie, what I thought of it. So I thought it's very different than any other Marvel movie to me. My ranking for it, I rank it number 2 behind Spider-Man No Way Home in Phase 4. This they tell you going into this movie that it's about, mourning and grief and, getting over death, and you most certainly feel that in this movie. I think the best word for me to describe it is depressing. And I don't necessarily mean that in a bad way, but walking out of that movie, I didn't really have a smile on my face, and I felt sad, with a little glimmer of hope, without saying too much, I guess you could say. Very different. It's not your typical Marvel movie. I don't know if my kids are going to sit through it. My kids love Marvel movies, but I don't think this is one that they'll sit through. There's a lot of dialogue. Sorry, it's a little dark. I'm driving home and it's dark out. It's 10 o'clock at night. But I don't think my kids would enjoy it. So if you're thinking about taking your kids, if they like, there's a lot of story to be told. There's with a little bit of action mixed in. Some of the pacing feels off. To me, I felt like maybe they scrambled a little bit to try and put something together as, and come up with the best story they could without Chadwick. May he rest in peace. I think they put together the best film that they could without him. And it just really, the tone of the movie is set from the get-go. Literally, I'll save this part for spoilers because I don't want to say too much, but the tone is set for the movie literally from the get-go. Like, from the moment the movie starts, the tone of the movie is set. And I will go a little bit more further once I get into the spoilers, which I'm probably about to now, because I don't think I can really talk too much more about it without getting into spoiler territory. But I'm teetering between a 7 out of 10 and 8 out of 10 right now, just because there's just so much to digest. I liked it better than Thor: Love and Thunder. I'm sorry, again, that movie just didn't sit well with me. Christian Bale was the best part of that movie, but that's, again, gonna go off topic there, and I don't want to do that. I do put this behind Spider-Man No Way Home. I think Spider-Man No Way Home has been the best movie of Phase 4. And Doctor Strange, I like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, but I put that third. This has a lot of story to it that I did enjoy. A lot of things that were, kind of laid out some breadcrumbs here to set up some future stories, which was nice. I'm going to go ahead and get into the spoilers, which I know majority of you watching this video is what you're waiting for, so I'm going to give you a couple seconds to start backing out if you don't want any spoilers. 3, 2, 1, spoiler territory we are entering right now. Alright, so the movie starts out with T'Challa dying. We don't ever see T'Challa in the movie except for a couple flashback scenes at the very, very end of the movie and a mural of him in the beginning of the movie. But at the end of the movie is when you see a couple flashback scenes of him. But you do not physically see him in the movie at all whatsoever. Just to debunk anyone that theory of anyone thinking he might be CGI'd into the movie at all. Nope, he is not. The movie starts off with him literally in the process of dying. And that's how the tone of the movie is set going forward. They are trying to make an artificial flower because obviously Killmonger burned them all in the previous movie, so there's nothing. And they say he dies of an undisclosed disease. They never say what it is. It's just a disease. There's a reporter that says he died. Anderson Cooper comes on one of the screens. He says T'Challa, has died of an undisclosed disease. So, but in the first seconds of the movie, it's we hear a lot of commotion going on, and Shuri is trying to come make an artificial flower that she's been working on for a while now, is what they make it seem like, and she can't come up with it. She finally comes up with some sort of rendition that has like a 25% effect rate. So as she's going to try it, the queen comes out and it's written all over her face that T'Challa has finally passed, because you hear in the background a couple seconds before, like his heart rate has dropped to 31 beats per minute. So he's actively dying in the first seconds of the movie. Yet we don't see him. They just they explain to you that he died right then and there. So then it flash forwards to 1 year later, and Shuri's working on things and everything. I'm kind of I might bounce around just trying to remember some of the things, because like I said, there's a lot to digest. So T'Challa dies. They go 1 year later, and then the U.S. has found vibranium on the ocean floor, and that's what brings Namor in, because we find out Namor's home area was also built with vibranium. So they're drilling into the ocean floor, and the drills are not working for them. And so you see like this drill all bit up underwater, like it's all just mangled because it can't dig into it because it's vibranium. So Namor is on a mission now to find a scientist. The scientist ends up being Riri Williams, Ironheart. I do like how she's introduced. I thought it was pretty cool. It was quick and to the point, but it wasn't cheesy or anything. It was actually a pretty cool action sequence. I do like Riri Williams. I like her character. And we get to see like a Mach 1 of the Ironheart suit, about half, I don't know, maybe about halfway through the movie, not even halfway, close to halfway through the movie, we finally see like her Mach 1 suit, and she's flying around in it, and they try and escape the feds. Her character's cool. And so we end up seeing her full suit, like mech'd out, built by, sorry about that, guys. My freaking thing fell. But yeah, let me see. All right, here we go. Sorry about that, guys. All right. It fell out of my clamp there. So we do see Shuri's official Ironheart suit by the end of this movie. It's pretty cool. Is it just me, or the CGI after Endgame has just dropped drastically, and the CGI in this movie is awful. I don't think there's been any good CGI in Phase 4 whatsoever after Endgame. I know they're going, to me, it just screams quantity over quality, and it shows. So like the CGI in this is just bad, and there's a lot of it. I know these movies, I gripe about the CGI, but I just, for some reason, if you're gonna use the CGI, like use the CGI, put out the quality you did from Endgame and before, because that was phenomenal, and now it's just trash. And I'm a Marvel fanboy, guys. Like I love all the Marvel movies. If you look at my YouTube, I have a whole half my movie room is Marvel. But I'm not feeling Phase 4. I'm not. So back to spoilers. We see Riri's suit. I like how she's introduced. They come and find her because either the feds are gonna find her, or the Wakandans find her. So the Wakandans find her first. They escape the feds, and Shuri brings Riri to Wakanda, and then they end up in the process. No, I'm sorry. Shuri and them are escaping, and in the process of escaping the feds, Namor and their people come out and kidnap Shuri and Riri, and Okoye has to go back and tell Wakanda that. So in this whole time, Shuri and Riri go down to Namor's home city, and he shows Shuri around and everything, and he tries to build an alliance with Shuri to take, and his goal is to fight the surface, fight the people on the surface, the rest of the world, because when he was a baby, he saw, not a baby, but a kid, he saw a bunch of people enslaved, his people, I guess they changed him over to like a Mexican descent. in chains and being whipped, and it's almost like a slavery type thing, and he didn't like that. So he's been training his people for all these years to take over the world, and he wants Wakanda to be an ally with him to do that. Well, Wakanda, obviously, Shuri says no, that's not happening, and he wants to also kill Riri, the scientist, because she knows how to make the machine that detects vibranium in the ocean. So he wants to get rid of her so they can't find that. So they end up, Nakia ends up going down, finding them, and rescuing them from Namor's hometown, Talokan. I'm sorry, I've read the comics before, but I wasn't a big Namor fan, and I didn't read a bunch of his comics. But his home city. So, in the process of them doing that, two of his people get killed, and then he just is all-out war on these guys now. He says, all right, so then he comes up to the surface, and he ends up killing the Queen. So now not only has T'Challa died, the Queen has died. So Shuri has now lost these two people in this amount of time. So you feel that death. There's a lot of stakes in this movie that Marvel doesn't really dive into. So that's one thing that they did do well in this, is you definitely feel the stakes in this movie. Kind of like, well, at least not in this phase, because there were stakes in Endgame and Infinity War. And in this movie alone, though, you feel the stakes in this. So you got T'Challa dies, the Queen dies, saving Riri. She ends up drowning. And so finally, Shuri puts together an artificial plant. She finds a combination to make an artificial plant, and she takes the flower, and when she goes into the other world, she sees Killmonger out of everybody, and she gets really upset about that. So, and if you read those leaks, yes, that part is true. We see Killmonger in the other world, and he talks to her and tells her, T'Challa was too much of a noble man. He couldn't do this, but I'm all about business. So are you gonna take care of business? Meaning, kill Namor. So she comes back as Black Panther, strong as ever, and they find out that the way to weaken Namor is to put him in an evaporation chamber, so it evaporates the water off of him, makes him weaker. So they designed this. They put the evaporation chamber in this ship, and there's this whole scene where they know Namor and his people are coming, so they distract him by putting that one of the vibranium detecting machines down on the ocean floor. They bring him out there and they bait him out there that way, and they're waiting for him. So then there's this huge fight on this ship between the Wakandans and Namor's people, and during that fight, Riri is able to bait him over to this ship where he's chasing the ship, and she uses one of her lasers to not beam him, but kind of push him in, like he falls and he hits the ship, and then Shuri jumps on this ship. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about when you see it. She jumps on the ship, they're both fighting in the ship, and then the evaporation chamber starts, and it's starting to evaporate him. He becomes weaker, so she fights him, but then he uses his staff, which is made of vibranium, to destroy the ship. So she tells the ship to go to the nearest desert. They fly to this desert right when it explodes, and so then Namor stabs her with his staff, and then she sees Killmonger again, like a flashback of Killmonger, and tell him, hey, you're gonna handle the business, let's take care of business. And she breaks the staff in half, pulls herself through the staff, and then jumps in front of him, and then she says, Wakanda forever, and then the blast from the ship fries him nearly to death, and he's laying on the ground. She gets his staff, puts it next to his neck, about to kill him, and then she sees her mom, the Queen, and she says, show him who you really are. And she says, if you yield, I will protect your people, and the surface world will never know about you, and we will help you. And so he finally yields. He says, I yield, and they become, then that's how that whole battle ends. So let me see, some good spoilers. Valentina's in the movie. We find out that her and Ross were married before. Martin Freeman's character. They were married, but not anymore. And so there's a couple scenes between those two. It's pretty funny. But Valentina's in. She's the director now down here. So they're setting up Thunderbolts that way. So she shows up. They make an Indiana Jones reference, which I liked. When they're giving them the dress, when Namor's people are giving Shuri and Riri a dress to present themselves, Riri makes an Indiana Jones comment. She's like, this is like some villain S-word. She's like, kind of like the white chick from Indiana Jones when she takes the dress, which is the reference to Temple of Doom. So that they get some extra points for me on that. If you know me, I'm a huge Indiana Jones fan, so kudos to you guys. And I'm sure it was a plug for the new Indiana Jones movie coming up. But yeah, let me see. So Shuri does become Black Panther. There's one credit scene. It's in the middle of the credits, and it is, we find out that Black Panther does indeed have a son with Nakia. And he is introduced, little kid, and he says that he is the son of the King T'Challa. So obviously they're going to push forward with that. So I liked Riri. I think they did good with her. I just felt, like I said, like the pacing was a little all over the place. It felt like it was some of the cuts throughout the movie just didn't sit well with me. The movie started way too abruptly for me with the whole him dying like that. Like I said, I almost felt like the first scene of the movie was like something, like I thought something was wrong when the movie started, and that's not a good way to start the movie. I was literally like, wait, do they need to rewind? Like, I felt like we missed something, and so that set the whole tone for the movie for me there. Lots of dialogue with some action mixed in there. There's like 2 big battle scenes. That's about it. The rest is all story. So, you know, be mindful when you're taking young kids to see this. The cinematography is phenomenal. They did a really good job at that. CGI, though, no. And there's a lot of moments of silence for T'Challa. The opening sequence, after that first scene of him dying, the opening Marvel sequence is very quiet. There's no music played, and it's all Black Panther. It's all T'Challa, Black Panther, and it's just all quiet. And then at the end, there's a scene with a couple of flashbacks running from the first Black Panther, and that's all quiet. The movie's very quiet. I saw it in Dolby, and it's not a movie that you really need to see in Dolby, to be completely honest, if you're going for the sound, because it's just a very quiet movie. The underwater scene, when it comes to Namor's home area, it's please forgive me. Like I said, I'm all about the movies. I've read the comics. I wasn't a huge Namor fan, so I didn't read big comments on them. So, but his hometown, it's done well CGI wise with that. If you're going to compare it to like Aquaman, DC, they mastered that very well with how they talk underwater. I did like that. I'm really finding reasons to like this movie. I really want to like this movie, and I did. And I think I wanted to love this movie, but I liked it. And I'm teetering between a 7 and an 8, and I feel like by tomorrow I'm gonna be more at a 7. It's depressing, and I knew that going in, but I felt like it's missing something. And when you see it, maybe you can help me figure out what it is that I think it's missing. Like I said, there's a lot of story, a lot of stuff to digest and unpack. But yeah, I think Phase 4 is just a mess. I see what they're doing. They use this movie to set up some stuff, but it's 2 hours and 41 minutes, guys, and you feel it. You feel it, right? Coogler's a great director, and I know they had this unfortunate instance happen, and it probably threw them off a little bit. And I still think they told the best story they could at this point. I know some people wanted him to be recast, but in the comics, as you know, Shuri does take over the mantle for a little bit. But I feel like they needed to segue into this, and then eventually they're probably going to have T'Challa come back, his son come back and take over. So I think they did what they could in the best way possible. I really hope they get their stuff together. I know they said that they're preparing for us for Phase 5, and it'll all make sense later, but... Oh, there's also no reference to Doctor Doom. None whatsoever. There's no Doctor Doom. I know that was in some leaks and some theories out there, that if it was completely written out. There's no hint of Doctor Doom whatsoever. And I'm sure I missed some things, guys, but these are the bigger moments that I'm going over. Like I said, if you have questions, put them in the comments. I will try and get to all of them. I can't promise I will, but I will most certainly try. And then with your questions, if there's stuff I missed and I can answer, I can debunk or, prove true some of these things that you've read online. And so give me a like, give me a thumbs up, give me a thumbs down, whatever you want. If you give me a thumbs down, give me some feedback, please. I'm gonna go see this again on Wednesday, the 9th. So I'm gonna take my wife to see it this time, because it was a private screen time. There was about 10 of us in there. So, but stay tuned. I'll have more reviews coming out. And thanks for watching. Like I say, hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet, and give me some feedback, good or bad. I don't care. I'm good with constructive criticism. So if you're still here, thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting the channel. Check out my Facebook. I've got a lot of good stuff coming up on there too. The link's up in there on the main profile here. My Instagram, I post a lot of good stuff in there, kind of mix it up a little bit. So check all that stuff out, and have a good night, guys, and I will catch you next time. Bye.